What if everything you think you know about strength is wrong? What if the very part of you that seeks approval, pleads for kindness, and fears confrontation is the biggest obstacle standing between you and true power? Machiavelli didn't mince words when he said you must kill the dog in you, that instinctive, obedient, vulnerable self, and awaken the wolf within, ruthless, cunning, and fiercely independent. This isn't about mindless aggression or blind cruelty, it's about a psychological revolution inside yourself, a complete rewiring of your mind that separates the weak from the unstoppable. In a world where only the strongest survive and rule, the question is, are you ready to silence the dog's whimper and let the wolf's howl echo through your soul? In the unforgiving jungle of human existence, where survival is neither guaranteed nor fair, the inner dog, the conditioned, obedient, emotionally vulnerable self, is a liability that must be mercilessly eradicated. Machiavelli's brutal command to kill the dog in you is not a call to mindless violence but a psychological imperative for transformation. It is a summons to shed the weak, reactive, and dependent facets of identity, those that cling to approval, fear conflict, and sacrifice autonomy for social acceptance. The dog represents a psyche bound by insecurity and emotional impulsiveness, prone to submission and exploitation. To survive and dominate in the relentless arena of social, political, and personal power, one must awaken the wolf within, a creature of fierce independence, strategic cunning, and calculated ruthlessness. The wolf is not merely an animal but a psychological archetype embodying mastery over self and environment, capable of wielding power with precision and restraint. The dog, by its nature, is loyal, often to a fault. It seeks validation from others, fearing rejection above all. This neediness produces predictable behavior, appeasement, oversharing, and emotional volatility. The dog's survival strategy is one of submission, hoping that by lowering itself it will avoid harm and gain protection. Yet in the brutal realities of power, this strategy is a death sentence. Those who bow too readily become pawns, manipulated, and discarded when convenient. Psychologically, the dog is enslaved by its own fears, unable to exercise the foresight and control necessary to navigate complex social landscapes. It lives reactively, responding to threats emotionally rather than strategically. Conversely, the wolf embodies dominance through discipline and intelligence. The wolf understands that power is not given but taken and defended relentlessly. It operates from a place of calculated patience, observing, learning, and waiting for the precise moment to act decisively. Unlike the dog, the wolf is not governed by the need for approval or the fear of confrontation. It accepts conflict as inevitable and uses it as a tool for establishing boundaries and asserting control. The wolf's survival strategy is one of mastery, over emotions, over situations, and over others. It is self-reliant, knowing that dependency is a weakness that can be exploited. Machiavelli's demand is therefore a psychological revolution. Killing the dog in you means dismantling conditioned obedience and emotional impulsivity. It requires forging an iron will capable of facing fear without capitulation. This transformation is painful because it confronts deep-seated insecurities and rewires habitual responses that have been ingrained since childhood. The wolf does not eradicate vulnerability but learns to regulate and channel it into strategic advantage. Fear becomes a tool for caution and planning, not paralysis. Emotional impulses are mastered, not suppressed, allowing deliberate and impactful action. From a neuroscientific perspective, this shift represents a fundamental reorganization of brain function. The dog's reactions are rooted in the limbic system, the brain's emotional center, which prioritizes immediate responses to threats. This system triggers fight, flight, or freeze reflexes, often undermining thoughtful decision-making. The wolf's behavior, in contrast, is guided by the prefrontal cortex, the brain's executive center responsible for reasoning, planning, and impulse control. Developing the wolf's mentality involves strengthening these neural pathways through deliberate mental training, such as mindfulness, cognitive behavioral techniques, and exposure to controlled stresses that build resilience. This neurological evolution is not automatic but the product of persistent effort and self-awareness. Emotionally, the process of killing the dog demands embracing discomfort and solitude. The dog craves social connection and safety. The wolf endures isolation and hardship without complaint, understanding these as necessary sacrifices for greater strength. This emotional fortitude is a form of psychological armor, enabling the wolf to navigate treacherous social landscapes with composure and confidence. It tolerates rejection, criticism, and loneliness because its identity is not tethered to external approval but to inner mastery. Social dynamics shift dramatically with this transformation. The dog seeks broad acceptance, often becoming entangled in toxic relationships that drain energy and autonomy. The wolf cultivates a tight circle of loyal allies, selected for their utility, respect, and shared vision. Trust is not given indiscriminately but earned through demonstrated strength and integrity. The wolf's social interactions are strategic engagements, aimed at building influence and securing survival. Manipulation and controlled information release are tools, not signs of moral failing but of sophisticated social intelligence. Historical examples illuminate the deadly cost of clinging to dog-like traits and the rewards of embracing the wolf. Machiavelli pointed to rulers who fell because of excessive kindness, transparency, or emotional reactivity. The dog's naivety invites betrayal and defeat. In contrast, figures like Cesare Borgia wielded wolf-like cunning, combining charm with ruthlessness, to rise swiftly and impose order. His legacy exemplifies the Machiavellian wolf, a leader who understands that power requires fear and respect, maintained through calculated cruelty and strategic deception. Yet, the wolf is no mindless predator. It embodies the highest form of self-discipline and strategic foresight. The wolf knows when to attack and when to retreat, balancing aggression with subtlety. Emotional mastery is critical, channeling passion into purpose, suppressing impulses that could lead to destruction. This balance creates a formidable presence that commands authority without unnecessary brutality. Practically, killing the dog involves cultivating mental toughness through daily practice. This includes exposing oneself to challenges that provoke fear or discomfort, developing impulse control, and engaging in reflective self-assessment. Physical fitness supports mental resilience, reinforcing the mind-body connection essential for disciplined action. Cognitive tools like visualization, scenario planning, and emotional regulation exercises strengthen the executive brain functions necessary for wolf-like behavior. Philosophically, this transformation rejects the idealistic belief in inherent goodness and embraces the harsh realities of power and human nature. The dog's world is one of illusions, where kindness is rewarded and weakness forgiven. The wolf's world recognizes that power is immoral and survival demands sacrifice and ruthlessness. This philosophical awakening frees the individual from illusions, preparing them to operate effectively in a complex, competitive world. Ultimately, killing the dog in you is a journey toward sovereignty, a reclaiming of agency and mastery over one's fate. It is the difference between being a reactive victim of circumstance and a proactive architect of destiny. The wolf within is not a beast to be feared but a necessary evolution for those who seek to rise above mediocrity and claim true power.